Hey guys. Today let's talk about Chiron, what it means as the wounded healer in our natal charts. The wound of Chiron is not something we usually overcome, but if we do our healing, it becomes something we learn to live with. Chiron reflects an area of our life where we have experienced loss or pain, wounds which we didn't actually cause, but wounds which we developed from our circumstances. We had no control over these wounds. These wounds will have a drastic effect on our life, such that we may overcompensate in a specific area of our life to heal from the pain the wound triggers. One thing to remember is that these wounds will unconsciously affect us as we go through our life experiences and will continually manifest thought patterns and limiting beliefs which can keep us stuck in repetitive cycles of unhappiness and discontent. We will never be content if we don't identify and heal from these wounds. Now, before we begin, if you would like to explore healing techniques for your Chiron placement, or even to learn about your own specific Chiron placement in more detail, as it corresponds to your own chart with house placement and aspects, you can find a link below to learn more about a Chiron and asteroids analysis, where we take a deeper look at Chiron and the four major asteroids in your chart: Ceres, Juno, Pallas, and Vesta. A lot to learn there. Well, let's get started. I'll give a brief overview of Chiron in the signs. And we would also love to hear from you about your own Chiron placement and healing journey. So please visit us at the website below if you'd like to connect. Now, with Chiron in Aries, your life experience is driven by a search to find a stable and strong identity for yourself. The wound for Chiron in Aries manifests in early life as a profound lack of self-worth, a core feeling of worthlessness, unworthiness, and even feelings of being undeserving. Perhaps from an early age you weren't allowed to assert yourself, your individuality, or fight for what was yours. It could have been that your parents or the home environment you grew up in had a strong belief that you should always share what you have. You couldn't keep what you have for yourself. This will eventually grow into a hesitation to take the lead or going after what you want for yourself, as opposed to what everyone else wants. With Chiron in Aries, you will feel like you're not wanted, needed, or useful at all. Chiron in Aries will also lead you to search for your identity and search for yourself in your life experiences. The wound will manifest throughout your life from tendencies toward putting others first, being a people pleaser while sacrificing your own needs, sometimes even sabotaging yourself, giving away your power to others, failing to stand up for yourself, or being afraid to take a stand. The wound can also give you a tendency to compulsively retreat from challenges or avoid circumstances and situations where taking a stand or expressing your opinion is required. Now, if you have Chiron in Aries, again, we would love to hear from you and really see how your healing journey has been going. Well, let's proceed. Chiron in Taurus. Chiron in Taurus creates a sense of lack in our material resources and our value system. The wound manifests as a core fear of losing safety, security, abundance, or love. You may have a deep underlying conviction that these were taken away or lost, or are and still are, or were and still are deficient or missing. Perhaps you might have an early experience of not having the material resources to do what you wanted to do, to allow you to live the way you wanted to live. This can, in turn, make you want to acquire wealth and resources and really be a pioneer in that. Chiron and Taurus will lead you to search for security, safety, and trust and love, seeing these as mirrored through your material values and assets. The wound manifests in your life as a tendency toward clinging onto material things and to emotionally safe and secure environments. Avoiding risks is also possible, and immersing yourself in comforts and good living, though still being cautious with your resources. Now, Chiron and Gemini. If you have Chiron in Gemini, depending on your specific house placement, there may have been an early challenging experience that has to do with speech or how you express yourself. Not being able to voice your thoughts or express yourself the way you wanted. There may be a deep-seated feeling of being unable to communicate with others, being verbally inept, unable to fit in socially, unintelligent, or unable to see the connections between one thing and the next. You may also have hidden feelings of being uneducated or stupid compared to others. Now, the Chiron and Gemini wound will manifest in your life by putting others at a different level than yourself, by putting others you perceive as intelligent with social communication and writing skills or even higher education on a pedestal, or by doing the extreme opposite, by putting them down. You may also have a tendency toward hiding your own skills and talents when you were younger. You may find it difficult to believe in yourself or your ideas. The Chiron in Gemini wound can also make you prone to being a recluse or avoiding social situations. Now, Chiron in Gemini actually is one of the harder wounds to overcome, but when it is overcome, it can be extremely rewarding. Now, Chiron in Cancer. If you are an individual with Chiron in Cancer, your core wounding occurred during childhood around your family system of relationships. Because Cancer is all about family and relationships. Having a family environment that was threatening, unsafe, or uncomfortable in some way made you feel abandoned and rejected. You have a core belief and feeling that love was lost, was never there to begin with, and will never be found in the future. The feeling that the world is not supportive, nurturing, caring, or loving. Alternately, you may think that although love exists, it is still always unrequited or you're not deserving of it. The core belief that you are unlovable or have been abandoned. Now, you may have had a feeling of not being at home when you were with your family, when you were younger, or you might have had the experience of being the black sheep of the family. You felt you lacked a tribe or your place in your home environment. It's very possible you didn't feel nurtured or in your upbringing at all. Now, Chiron and Cancer will give you a longing for a safe haven, your own safe place to call home. Now, the wound will manifest by underlying feelings, more often unconscious, of emptiness, of loneliness. You may have a tendency to sabotage relationships by either withdrawing love or even smothering your partner. Now, next, Chiron in Leo. If you have Chiron in Leo, now Leo is all about being the star, right? Being the sun. You have a feeling that you cannot express yourself, that your self-expression, life spark, or creativity have been or are being squashed, and that your self-worth is damaged or missing. You may feel uncreative, unimaginative, unappreciated, and unrecognized for your uniqueness. Usually this stems from an early experience as a child, not being allowed to shine, to express yourself, or allowed to take center stage. You most likely were not acknowledged or rewarded for your uniqueness. Now, the wound will manifest by a core desire to express yourself and be creative. You pride yourself in standing out as a unique individual, taking pride in yourself, and enjoying life, but you can also feel guilty about being prideful, bragging, or showing off when you've done well for yourself. Now, Chiron in Virgo. With Chiron in Virgo, you may have had an early wound of not being perfect or not being up to par with the unattainable standards that either your family or society placed upon you. This most likely made you feel useless or not of service to others, thinking others don't need what you can offer. Now, you most likely have to have a deep feeling of being incomplete or fragmented, disconnected, or even impure, as Virgo deals with physical health as well. You could also feel that something is wrong with you, physically, emotionally, mentally, or even spiritually, something that needs fixing or changing, and you'll have a overall dissatisfaction with the way things are. The wound will manifest in your life as a dissatisfaction with yourself or others, a tendency to try and fix, correct, change, or control things or people that you perceive to not be good enough. Depending on the house placement and aspects, of course, this could give you a highly perfectionist mindset that makes it uncomfortable for others to be around you. OCD can be common. You can also be highly judgmental of others, criticizing others, and trying to fix or change them. Now, Chiron in Libra, of course, having to do with our relationships. If you have Chiron in Libra, your core wound is the feeling of feeling alone, incomplete, or separate. You may feel like something or someone is missing in your life. This placement, more than others, reflects our longing for our soulmate. Early in life, you might have felt you weren't attractive enough to others, or maybe people didn't like you as much as you wanted. You might have had trouble forming relationships or intimate partnerships, even. With Libra in the picture, you could also have experienced pain around some form of injustice or unfairness that you couldn't fight. Now, the wound will manifest in your life by a tendency toward fearing being alone. You may sacrifice yourself or inner direction for the sake of being with others. You may stay in relationships which you know are not long-term, just so you're not left alone. You may also wear a face mask, a false mask, and make up stories about yourself in order to attract others. Now, Chiron in Scorpio. If you have Chiron in Scorpio, you have experienced something to do with power. I mean, Scorpio is all about power. There's been some kind of misuse or alignment with power. Abuse or suffering through a traumatic event is common. You may have the core feeling of being disconnected or abandoned by the universe, which manifests as a deep fear of loss or death. Now, the wound will manifest by building up walls of protection internally and externally, usually a mix of both. Trusting others could be intimidating. You could also have a tendency toward clinging to others and to the sense of security that they may offer, and work secretly to keep it that way by whatever means required. The fear of losing power in your life can make you very protective of people and things you hold dear, to such a degree it may make you vindictive and destructive. Now, Chiron in Sagittarius. Excuse me, just have to get some water. Chiron in Sagittarius. If you have Chiron in Sagittarius, you have a deep-seated feeling of meaningless and pointlessness in life. A core wound that says that there is no bigger picture, no guiding hand, no higher realms of existence. You could fear open spaces or having no boundaries. You could also have a deep feeling of being dwarfed by the immensity of life and the world, the feeling that you are not wise, but that wisdom is in the hands of others, the fear that you cannot know or will never find the answers to life's most important questions. Now, Chiron and Sagittarius will lead you to search for meaning in your life, for the bigger picture, your higher self. The wound will manifest throughout your life with a tendency to fear inquiry into deeper matters. You may have a tendency toward relying on others for answers to important questions of existence, putting others on a pedestal in the process. Now, you may be accustomed to gathering other people's knowledge and understanding, and will take what they tell you without questioning it. You may be prone to seeking a safe and known environment while avoiding challenging situations and opportunities. You could also become dogmatic, overzealous, or uncompromising in your beliefs and attitudes. As mentioned earlier, putting others' thoughts and ideas on a pedestal, demeaning your own capacity for knowledge and wisdom. Chiron in Sagittarius. Now, Chiron in Capricorn. If you have Chiron in Capricorn, Capricorn, of course, having to do with our vocation and our career, you have a core wound of feeling unrecognized, unappreciated, unnoticed, unacknowledged, unheard, or even passed over. The feeling that there is no structure in your life and that it's disorganized or chaotic. You may have a fear that you cannot or will not find or know your place in life, and most likely to do with your vocation. From an early age, you might have been burdened with too much responsibility and might have been ridiculed or judged for not being good enough. You most likely weren't fully equipped or ready to take on those responsibilities at that time, and others most likely didn't listen to your opinions or accept you as an equal. Now, with Chiron and Capricorn, you will search for mastery in your life, and especially in your vocation. The interesting thing is many CEOs and top-level executives have Chiron and Capricorn. The wound will manifest in your life, or for some, as a tendency towards seeking recognition, appreciation, distinction, respect, and status. You might go from job to job or change your career path, trying your best to find your place, a place you feel useful, a place that you feel appreciated and recognized. You could also have a tendency toward trying to attain recognition, acceptance, and distinction by associating yourself with others whom you feel have those things. So next is Chiron in Aquarius. Now, if you have Chiron in Aquarius, your core wound is feeling like an outsider, separate, abandoned, alone, or removed from everyone else. As a child, you may have experienced a lack of acceptance from a group or those around you because you were different in some way. Perhaps you interpreted things differently than others around you or had different viewpoints. Now, Chiron in Aquarius will lead you to search for your place in society and the world around you. The wound will manifest in your life with feelings of utter aloneness, and yet at the same time having a tendency to seek solitude. You'll feel like an outsider in social circumstances, feeling alone in a crowd, a tendency to stand apart from others, yet you will seek to be among others. In your attempts to avoid pain, you could build up defense mechanisms in order to keep yourself separate from others. In personal relationships, you may avoid getting too close, remaining friendly but distant from others. Now, lastly, Chiron and Pisces. If you have Chiron and Pisces, you experienced a loss of faith or trust in the world and universe. You have a deep-seated sense of betrayal or feeling like a victim in your circumstances and life in general. You don't feel like life or the world is a safe place to be in. At a young age, you might have experienced a tremendous loss or grief. It made you feel like there's nothing to have faith in anymore. Now, the wound will manifest in your life with a tendency toward developing a hard shell and a pragmatic and sometimes doubtful manner when in relation with others. You might likely fear opening up to others, but due to needing close personal contact, your judgment can be clouded when choosing partners. Your fear of opening up to others, fear of being hurt, or lack of trust has the ability to sabotage relationships, and you may have a tendency toward avoiding intimacy in close personal relationships. Now, again, these 12 descriptions that we just discussed, these are all general descriptions. Identifying the specific house placements and aspects Chiron makes in your own natal chart will show you how your core wound manifests in your life and will show you the appropriate path to healing. Again, for more resources, please follow the links below, and we look forward to connecting with you on our website. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you. Bye.